in on the secrets. Now, check this out. Real quick. Here's 4 advantages the iPhone 16 Pro will have over the iPhone 16. So if you're one of those people that can't or have a hard time deciding, or maybe it's for your kid and you're like, damn, should we get them the Pro or the regular, or the Plus or the Pro? Well, this might be able to help you out. I went ahead and jot down some key differences between the base model iPhone 16 and the Pro model iPhone 16 variant. They look pretty close in design, right? But it's under the hood that you're going to see most of the changes, right? So iPhone 16 Pro is going to get larger screens. We just discussed at the beginning of this podcast how they increase those screen sizes, but keeping the phone relatively the same size, just the screen gets bigger. Well, they just reduce the bezels, right? The border, the outside of the display just gets a little better. They shrink the bezels, screen gets a little bigger, right? So the Pro is going to have a bigger screen than the regular. So the 16 Pro is going to have a 6.3 inch display. iPhone 16 is going to have a 6.1 inch display. Now, iPhone 16 Pro also going to get Pro Motion with 120 hertz refresh rate, while the iPhone 16 base model is sticking with 60 hertz refresh rate. So what does that mean? Well, that means Apple is basically holding back their base model back to 2010, essentially. So I'm surprised they're not upgrading the base models at least to 90 hertz. You would think they would put at least 90 hertz in the base models and then 120 in the Pros, right? But 60? Really? Don't get me started. Okay. Titanium design. So the base iPhone 16 going to have an aluminum frame. The iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, but Pro is what we're looking at, is going to have a titanium design. So what does that mean? Lighter, stronger, more durable, more expensive. So keep that in mind. Camera upgrades. As usual, the iPhone 16 will have 2 cameras, and it looks like an iPhone 10. That's correct. It looks like an iPhone 10. They're stacked on top of one another. Located on the top left of that on the back of the iPhone. It's going to have a main camera and an ultra-wide camera on the base model iPhone 16, while the 16 Pro will have 3 camera sensors: a main, an ultra-wide, and a telephoto. Now, this year, however, the camera story will get more interesting because the 5x telephoto camera that debuted on the iPhone 15 Pro Max last year, that telephoto sensor that all the YouTubers are raving about, everybody apparently loves this 5x telephoto camera that debuted on the 15 Pro Max. Remember, last year it was not on the 15 Pro. This year, you guessed it, it is going to be on the 16 Pro. So they're incorporating this sensor that everybody loves on the new iPhone 16 Pro. So you'll see it on the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. This means you no longer have to choose the biggest iPhone to get the best camera system available. You will, however, have to opt in for either iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max to get the best camera system, but that's the difference between a Pro and a base model. That's why you're paying more for a Pro and less for a base model. The iPhone 16 Pro will also have an upgraded ultra-wide camera this year, increasing from 12 megapixels in quality to 48 megapixels in quality. So the standard iPhone 16, meanwhile, will still have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. Again, 48 megapixel ultra-wide for the 16 Pro, 12 megapixel ultra-wide for the base model 16. And of course, saving last but not least, faster performance. So this year, the 16 and 16 Pro will both feature the A18 chip, the Bionic A18 chip inside. The 16 Pro, however, will get the more powerful version of the A18 Pro. We don't have an exact clear picture of how much better the Bionic A18 Pro will be than the base A18 CPU, but it's essentially, I'm sure they're just going to overclock it, right? Which could be a good or bad thing depending on heating. You know, they had that heating issue from the 15 series. Hopefully Apple implements a vapor chamber like Samsung has done in their foldables, like Google has done in their Pixels. I can't tell you how much Apple absolutely has to put a vapor chamber in these Pros. I cannot tell you how much it makes a huge difference in the Pixel 9 Pro XL compared to just the 8 Pro last year, right? That can be the difference between a device overheating when you're taking photos or video and just getting warm, but not underclocking the CPU or not shutting down your camera app. If you have that vapor chamber in there, the Pixel can run warm and you don't see any difference. So Apple needs to do this. That's one thing I'll specifically be looking for. However, the A18 Pro in the iPhone 16 Pro probably just going to have an overclocked CPU from the one that's in the base iPhone 16. So it's going to have a 6-core GPU. This week, I'm sorry. Now talking about the GPU. The A18 Pro CPU is going to have a 6-core GPU, while the A18, the base model, in the base iPhone 16 will have a 5-core GPU. So you have a 6-core GPU in the A18 Pro CPU, and you have a 5-core GPU in the A18 CPU base model. I know it's a lot, but that's why I repeated it. Sorry. Also, one last difference. The A18 Pro CPU in the iPhone 16 Pro will also reportedly feature a much powerful neural engine, which could bode well for future Apple Intelligence features. So I did a live stream last week saying if you don't upgrade a lot, if you're an iPhone user and you just don't upgrade every year, and look, I get it, right? Stuff's expensive. I get it. You're probably going to want to upgrade this year. And then you'll be in the game with all this Apple AI stuff, which means you won't have to upgrade probably for a couple of years or a few years after this. But if you're on the 12, the 13, or maybe you just upgraded to an iPhone 14, right? And you usually upgrade once every few years, and you're saying, I don't think I'm going to upgrade. I mean, I've got the iPhone, 14 Pro, and I like it, but I do want to try the AI stuff. Well, you might want to upgrade to this one this year, and then that'll be sufficient enough to hold you out the next few years, because this will get you in the game with the AI stuff. You'll future-proof your purchase with those iPhone 16 Pro models, right? Either a Pro or Pro Max. I think the best one's going to be the 16 Pro. That makes the most sense for most people. Pro Max is going to be huge, ginormous, and it's going to be their most expensive one. Now remember, the 16 Pro is getting bigger in size, screen size. I think that's going to be the best one for most people, right? It's not too small, it's not too big, it's just right, and you'll be able to have all the same features that we just mentioned, camera, everything that the bigger Pro Max will have. So that will do it for today's episode. I thank everybody for joining us. And I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget eSIMstudios.app. That's the web app we were just on. Don't forget eSIM Studios YouTube channel. That's where you can go for all the latest and greatest tech news, reviews, and everything else. And the podcast, eSIM Studios Podcast. Catch it on any podcast platform.